Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Podcast. I'm your host, David Lamb. On this podcast, we'll be stripping property investors and business people alike back to brick to find out how their journey can help you on your journey.
This podcast is brought to you by Orange Sales and Lettings. If you know someone that is looking to sell or let a home, please get in touch. Referral fees are available. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. Today's show is sponsored by Orange Sales and Lettings, your Northeast property experts. Today we have Sam Cooke on the show. He's the owner and editor of a hugely successful Blue Bricks property investment magazine. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you for having me. We've got blue and orange.
Yes, mate, yeah. It's a perfect mix. What does that make, actually, blue and orange?
I have no idea.
I think it makes yellow, actually.
I was terrible at that. I think it probably is.
We need to make another company, don't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, colours are the. We say this all the time, but you know, look at purple bricks, etc. Colours, it's a great brand. You
know, Purple Bricks has really helped my brand, I think, because especially starting out, everyone's like, "Oh, I've heard of you guys," and they were just thinking of Purple Bricks.
Ah, right, okay. Do you sell any houses on the side for people?
No, never.
Okay. Right, mate. So, you know, I know you pretty well. I've met you quite a few times at network events over the years, including last night at a little local event. Always good to see you, mate. So, I guess for those who don't know you, who are you? What's your elevator speech?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's changed recently. So I used to be the editor of Blue Bricks magazine. I'm now just the owner of Blue Bricks magazine.
Right, okay.
So obviously my name's Sam Cooke. I'm the owner of Blue Bricks magazine. Blue Bricks is a property investment magazine. Our niche is probably people like you, to be fair, people that are more experienced, more established, are active in property, they're doing stuff in property, they're looking to grow. That's what all the content's geared around. So we don't do any of the get rich quick, be a millionaire overnight. That's kind of really not our bag. One of the other things we're really passionate about is ethical investment and, you know, showcasing people in the industry that are doing good things. I bought Blue Bricks magazine, the business, 3 years ago. When I bought the business, I ended up doing everything, as all business owners do. So the way we bought the business, I can't go into the entire structure, but there was a lot of debt through deferred consideration where we'd pay the previous owner over a number of years. So with that debt, I had to come in and take over the editing, the proofreading, the writing, basically everything other than the design, thankfully. And from there, I've now hired staff, my most recent hire being an editor. So I'm no longer the editor of Blue Bricks. I just kind of exist in the background now.
Right. How recent was that then? Was that really recent then?
April, start of April. Right. Yeah, so okay. not long ago.
So how does that feel?
Strange. It does feel strange because that was the biggest part of my role. I've given up the biggest part of my role and, in a way, complete control over the magazine itself.
Yeah. So it's sort of taking you away completely from the nuts and bolts of each edition.
Yeah, I mean, while I'm training new editor up, I'm still getting involved in little bits and obviously speaking to people while I'm out and about, but I'm trying to remove myself from the minutiae of put a comma there and a full stop there and make sure that's capitalised.
I bet that's a nice feeling in a way, yeah.
Yeah, it is, because I'm still busy, probably busier than I've ever been, but I feel like I'm busy with the right things, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm busy with things that are growing or generating income. I'm not busy with the, you know, you can spend 12 hours at your desk and then get to the end of the day and be like, what have I actually done?
So what were you doing before Blue Bricks, and where was the inspiration to buy the magazine? Did you have that sort of background, or?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been a long and sordid history, actually. I started out originally stand-up comedian.
Did you really?
Yeah, you can probably tell why I'm not one anymore.
You can throw a few in today.
Yeah, I was funny till life just ground it out of me. Yeah. And then sort of went into, while I was doing comedy, I found a love for property. I was always quite ambitious, so I was researching like entrepreneurship, investment, all that stuff. I came across property, and it really stood out for me for two reasons. Number one, property was the only tangible investment. So looking at things like crypto, stocks, shares, you know, I was looking at Forex for a while. It all just seemed like numbers and screens. And I loved with property, you could see it, you could touch it and walk around it. And secondly, I'm from Bradford, quite a deprived area in a lot of parts. And when I was a kid, I was always looking at these rundown buildings and thinking, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if these were kind of brought back to life? Like, I loved architecture and I still love architecture. So that's kind of what brought me into it. So started out as an estate agent, lost my job during COVID, started property sourcing. Blue Bricks magazine, I was connected with them and they said, look, we're actually looking for someone 25 hours a week. Do you want to come work for us? You can still source. So I started working for Blue Bricks, and I didn't realise that Blue Bricks was owned by, or part owned by, a private equity firm that would buy and sell businesses. So I met the the sort of owner of that, Nathan, who became one of my closest friends. And he kind of took me under his wing, really. So I stopped the sourcing. I wouldn't say he mentored me in an official way, but he sort of took me under his wing and showed me the ropes. And then that's how I ended up buying Blue Bricks off of him, because he was showing me how to buy businesses and structure the deals and how it all kind of works.
Brilliant. So was he nurturing you to buy it, do you think, from the offset, teach you how to buy businesses and then say...
I think he always knew we'd follow a similar path. I don't think we knew it was Blue Bricks at the start. I kind of think we both had the feeling we'd end up doing something together. And now we're in Blue Bricks together. He's my business partner now. I didn't think we knew that'd be the trajectory.
So what was your role when you first joined Blue Bricks? Was that as an editor?
Marketing manager.
Right,
So just
okay.
it was a brand new magazine at the time. We had like an amazing cult following, mainly in the Northeast. We did online meetups and we had 50 plus people turning up sometimes. And there was like a lot of love around this online community, which is what kind of made me want to buy it. And it was my job really just to sort of grow the word. But because we were just coming out of the lockdowns, you couldn't go to events or do anything like that. So you're very limited as a startup without spending thousands of pounds in Facebook ads to actually get the brand out there.
Yeah, I remember it was a funny time, obviously, for us all during COVID. But I remember Nathan owning Blue Bricks.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been to a few masterminds with Nathan. And then all of a sudden I was at the property thing in Darlington and everyone was like, oh, there's Sam, the owner of Blue Bricks. I was like, oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's
So it was seemed like quite a smooth, quick transaction.
Yeah, it was. It all took place quite quickly, really, over I think it was a month or two. And because of I knew Nathan and Caroline, that made it miles easier.
Yeah. So has the sort of the culture of Blue Bricks changed since you took over, or are you still sort of filling the same gap in the market?
Yeah, it has taken over. It's really weird because sometimes I just do stuff without really looking at it. Like you kind of get so caught up in the day to day. Vicky, who's a new editor, she's been a member of Blue Bricks for a while before she actually joined the team, because she does stuff in property herself. And when she's come on board, she's kind of sat down and told me all the things that she thinks Blue Bricks stands for as a customer and the feedback that she's got from other customers. And it's been amazing to kind of hear that because I didn't really realise it myself. So the culture now is, it's up and coming, it's trendy. People are understanding that we care about ethics and talking about the reality of property investment because we don't pull any punches in the magazine. It's no bullshit. And we get a lot of positive feedback on it not being bullshit. If someone's doing a project in Blue Bricks and something's gone wrong, we will put in what's gone wrong. We will put in how much money that they lost. I know Holly's been on this podcast recently. Yeah. They did a couple of case studies in the magazine. One of them made a loss and they actually talked about the loss that they made and what they do differently. So I think that's how we're different. And I found that people really appreciate that. Yeah,
it does. It immediately jumps out at you when you read the magazine. I'm not just saying this because you're here, but it is full of people, a lot of them, 90%, I know them anyway. And I know that the 100% genuine people are doing genuine deals. And there's literally zero, like you touched on at the start of the podcast, there's zero sort of selling. There's no get into property because of this, do this, we can teach you this type of thing. It's just literally just case studies of people doing genuine deals.
Exactly. I mean, there's no upsell from Blue Bricks. You've got the magazine and obviously we have our events and stuff like that, but there's no training course or 3-day event or conference or mastermind for you to sign up to on the back end.
And was that the culture with Nathan before you took over as well?
Yeah, Nathan is very, very no bullshit. He can't stand any of that sort of stuff, and I'm very much the same. We like to keep things real, so that's kind of followed through, and that's our audience as well, really. Like, you're in the Northeast like me, Paul Million, Anthony Boyce, you, people that are experienced. We kind of cater to the customer as well, and we know that if we went down that route, we wouldn't have the brand that we have. Yeah,
and I think people like yourselves and Blue Bricks, it does stand out now because there's just so much bullshit on Instagram, YouTube, wherever you look. And that's sort of the same angle I've taken with this podcast. So I've selectively chosen the people on that I know are 100% genuine.
Yeah.
Whereas there's loads of other people that have approached me on Instagram wanted to be on the show, but I'm not sure about them.
Hey, I'll be honest with you, controversial. I'm ashamed to be in this industry sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like a circus out there.
It's mad.
Not only if the training stuff is what it is, but the shit out there now about people calling each other out and having little wars on Instagram, it's just so sad and pathetic, man.
It's so immature.
It really is. And you're meant to be serious business owners and you're arguing in the comment sections of a YouTube video, what even is this?
And most of them that I've seen, they're all sort of full of shit anyway, so I don't know. It is a strange, it's so unregulated that it attracts sharks, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And I just feel like, I know we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the market shortly. We're at a really difficult time for landlords. And I think we sort of need to come together to prepare for that. And if everyone's off online arguing with each other, I don't think we're helping matters. And also, unfortunately, the people with the biggest following are the ones that the general public, view the rest of the landlords as. So if they're all there acting like clowns online, it does reflect badly on the rest of the industry as well.
It's funny because I do mentor people now, and even when I started mentoring people, it's only been quite recently, the last couple of years, I felt like a bit of imposter syndrome. And I sat down and thought about it, and I thought, I've been investing in property for 22 years. I've done everything, buy-to-let, HMOs, SAs, commercial or resi, and I still part of me felt like a little bit of a fraud, which is ridiculous, really. But then you see someone who's got 2 or 3 buy-to-lets, and they're presenting themselves as a mentor on Instagram. It's just like, I don't know how they can do it.
I think property training is really important as well. Like, it gets a bad rep, but we need it. We need to bring more people into the industry. And if people want to invest, it's important. There's places that can go to learn to do it correctly. I think the problem everyone has is like, you're credible, you've been doing it a long time. It's like you say, it's either the people that don't have the experience, or it's all the sort of flashy bullshit that comes with it. Like, run to the back of the room for one day offer, and, all the Lamborghinis parked out front. I think that's the side of things people have an issue with.
Yeah, but they still buy into it. There's still so many people that pay the money, isn't it? It's mental.
Because I think people need to believe that stuff. I think if you're in a full-time job that you hate and you're down on your luck and you're looking for hope, I think those people need to believe that. Because if they sat down and went, this is going to be difficult, probably not going to make any money for 5 years, massive chance of failure, I don't think they could live with that.
No, I don't either. They are just selling a glimmer of hope, aren't they? Which again is quite sad. But so how many sort of subscribers have you got with Blue Bricks now then?
10,000 readers across the UK.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
it's been growing rapidly.
That's huge. You didn't expect it to be anywhere near as big as that.
Yeah, and it's growing pretty much every week as well. With all the marketing and stuff.
And what's driving that growth?
It's been like pushing a snowball down a hill, really. Incremental, monumental at the start, and then as the brand's grown, as we've set up more strategic partnerships and we've become more well-known in the industry, we're sponsors of the HMO Awards and other large-scale events. It's just grown to the point of, it's been really interesting going to events where it's like, I've never heard of Blue Bricks, going to events where like Blue Bricks is a headline sponsor. It's been a massive process. And I think that's what's driven the growth, is we're well-known now. Yeah.
So you obviously, I've seen you at many events yourself, and do you have other people at other events around the country? Surely you can't cover the whole UK type of thing.
Yeah, so we sponsor a lot of independent events in the UK, so I'll either send magazines down to them to hand out complimentary to the people there, or what we'll also do is, obviously the host will stand up and speak a bit about us. Now that I've got Vicky is a avid networker, she's better at it than me, so she'll be doing a lot of events like that as well. Yeah. I'm a little bit more selective at the events that I go to now as well.
But surely that's going to become a bigger part of your role now you're not editing, to be out there even more, is it not?
I think this year I'm learning to be in the right places. Last year I hit it hard. I was like at the opening of a Chris Packet. I thought just grow the brand, get out there. And I realised that there's about 20% of places that are worth being.
Yeah, so quality over quantity.
Yeah, quality. Having the right people in the room with the right hosts that are going to be the right audience for Blue Bricks magazine.
For sure. I think we've sort of highlighted who the audience is. Yeah. What do you think they value the most, I guess, from Blue Bricks?
I think it's the honesty. And I think it's because we do the events, like we've got a horse racing day on Saturday, we've done the awards. People enjoy, I think, and this is feedback having a survey, having a community that can go to where there's no agenda, there's no upsell, it's just honest people in property that are all kind of experienced, that are coming together to help one another and have those kind of conversations. And I think because we're not there like it's get rich quick and who's got the biggest Instagram following, I think people feel safe to go, I've had this nightmare with this tenant, or I'm having this problem. And I think that's what's really helped people. They don't feel like they have to put on a mask.
So is it a nationwide brand then?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's, because obviously you're from the north yourself, you're from Bradford yourself, see you in the northeast a lot, but you do sort of go down to London events and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I can see from a lot of the sponsors in the magazine, there's a lot of they are sort of spread across the UK. You've got some really big name sponsors now.
Yeah, I've got like Roma Finance, Dyson Harrison Solicitors, Vibe Finance, got some really, really big names in there now, which I'm so proud of too, to be working with those businesses and have sort of the respect to those businesses and the really close relationships that I've got with my advertisers it's probably one of the things I'm proudest of.
Yeah, so you should be. Are there any particular types of features? Obviously, there must be a structure to each edition.
Yeah.
Are there any particular types of features that you know for a fact grab people's attention and people get the most out of?
Yeah, I think so. When I put the issue together, and this is what I've been training Vicky on, it's like I always ask myself, is this valuable to the reader? So content that I like is content that's valuable, useful, makes the person think maybe, or is most importantly actionable. So I like stuff that you can read an article and go, all right, okay, cool. Now I can actually go away and do that, and there's going to be some tangible result. So those ones been quite popular. Raising finance, that's always a really, really popular one that people enjoy and struggle with. Stuff around systemization as well has been quite popular. Tax, accounting, the stuff that people don't really understand.
Are there certain strategies that are more popular than others at the moment? I'm thinking HMOs. As soon as I said that, is there more of a focus on HMOs currently?
Commercial's becoming really popular.
Is it?
Really, really popular. Yeah, it seems like every man and his dog's wanting to buy commercial property at the moment.
Commercial for commercial's sake, or
Just
commercial
for commercial
resi?
sake, yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, there's not less risk, but you've got, with the Renters' Rights Bill coming up, less risk where your tenants, if a business stops paying you, it's much easier to get the business out of the premises than it is a paying tenant.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I've started buying commercial property last 2 or 3 years myself, and I'm doing a lot of mixed use stuff, whereas previously I would have looked to turn it all into residential.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it mixed use just to diversify.
Yeah, seeing a lot of that. And I think because you've got the it's Class MA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, that a lot of people are enjoying it you've got your exit strategy there if you did want to turn it into residential and sell it.
100%, yeah. And the leases are longer, they're more landlord friendly. The tenant generally has to cover most of the maintenance costs. The only thing I'm finding is in the in-between tenancies, you do get longer void periods. Yeah. I think they just go hand in hand, the longer tenancies with the longer void periods. But stamp duty as well, there's no stamp duty on anything up to 150k. After the 150k, it's still lower brackets than residential. Yeah. I think that it's clear that this government and the previous government don't like buy-to-let landlords. They think it's getting out of hand, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Whereas commercial doesn't seem to get the government attention.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got a phone call the other day from someone who I'm close to, a member of my family actually, that said my landlord's looking to sell up, and I don't know what to do because we're getting a good rate here. I don't know if I can afford to rent in this area or anywhere else. There's nothing else in the area up for rent, and I can't afford to buy, so I'm basically going to be homeless. Can you? So I thought, right, okay, give me the landlord's number. Maybe we can structure a lease option, something like that, get a bit creative, or do a sort of rent to buy. So I rang the landlord, and the landlord just basically said, yeah, well, with the changes of tax and the interest rates going up, I've lost money on this property for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, because interest rates have gone down and the mortgage was coming up, they've managed to remortgage onto a lower rate and they're keeping the property.
Great.
But they were like, we're actually losing money. So it's not just your dad, all our tenants we're having to sit down with and go, we might have to sell the house. And I'm like, it's ironic that they're saying buy-to-let landlords are out of hand and they're punishing the landlords, but realistically, it's the tenants that are being punished now.
It is, and whenever any legislation comes in or any tax changes, ultimately it's the end user that pays for it.
Absolutely.
The end user is the tenant. The selective licensing they've brought in areas of the northeast, rents have just gone up drastically.
Yeah. To
cover it, it's not rocket science. It's so unfair.
It's just economics. It just gets passed down the chain. So I don't know what game they think they're playing, but they are penalising landlords. And I think I'm also seeing a lot of people selling up the residential portfolios and going straight into commercial. It seems to be like a drug. I know people that have bought like one small commercial unit and they've gone, right, I'm selling everything residential now.
Yeah. Especially with being able to invest in your pension scheme as well, which is for tax, has so many tax benefits as well. I'm looking at doing that myself now, yeah. So the people that do contribute and the people that you do case studies on and articles, how do you go about A, selecting them and B, sort of sourcing them and getting in touch with them?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I get people writing to me all the time and submitting articles, and picking the right people is difficult. I think now I'm very selective about who goes in the magazine. I need to have known them a little while, or know they've got a good reputation with other people, because it is a minefield. It's so easy to put in the wrong
By
person.
association.
Yeah, so just making sure that person's got a reputation, background checking them. And for me, it's about a little bit about personality. It's the way that people approach us. If people approach us like, look, I've got this article and I want to share it to help people, I'm like, great, we really want to speak to you. The people that just want to pitch or sell something, we're a bit like, yeah, it's probably not the right fit.
You know straight away, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, mate. And we're working with some unbelievable people at the moment. Like, we've just had Alfie Best on the front cover, so it's
Love
just,
him.
yeah,
Absolutely.
he was fantastic and so genuine to speak to as well.
Was he?
So,
Did you sit down and interview him then?
yeah, I did,
Did you?
yeah. I couldn't believe how easy it was to speak to. Just
Yeah.
like chatting a pub with your mate kind of person.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a big point for me. I'm like, we really need to maintain a certain level of quality now. Don't get me wrong, we've had people in there that are on the first or second year of property, but they're very honest about that in the article, and they talk about what it's been like starting out. And people have enjoyed that content.
Yeah, there's
too.
value in that.
Yeah, exactly. But they're not there pretending to be sort of 20 years into the journey.
We've had a few guests on here that the same, just, not that experience, but they've got so much value to give because their opinions are so current, because they've just got in it and they're talking about, just getting started in property.
Yeah.
People like that. So, you get the likes of Alfie Best on. People, how is that happening? Like, how do you go about, what's the process of getting in touch with someone like him?
I just dropped him a message on LinkedIn, to be honest. Yeah. I just dropped him a message on LinkedIn. I'm like, hi, sort of love what you do. I'd love to feature as main feature in Blue Bricks, no cost editorial. Obviously, most people, it's free publicity for them, say yes. Much harder at the start when your brand isn't as well known.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people with larger names, like, well, actually, if it's not well known, I'm doing you more of a favour. But now Blue Bricks has become more well known, it's easier to get people involved.
Yeah.
And because we've taken that stance of honesty and integrity, people that follow suit in that kind of respect it and want to be a part of it. So, I'm messaging Danny Inman at the moment. I want him on the cover next, yeah.
Yeah, he said he was going to come on here, Danny, actually. But
He's
still hasn't pinned him
brilliant,
down.
he's brilliant.
He's great, isn't he? And he's another one that comes across so genuine.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, I really like him. So, the magazine covers the UK, like you've said, but there seems to be, from an outsider looking in, because I only invest in the North East, but the North East and North West seem to be the hottest areas. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, what from an investment sort of nationally?
You cover the whole country, so you get an insight to where people are investing. Are they mainly looking at the North East, North West still, or is that sort of dwindling out?
Yeah, a lot of people look at the North East because the yields are just so high up here. Like when you go to London and you start speaking to London investors about prices in the North, like you can see the mind explode, because for one property in the South, you can literally get free up here.
Yeah.
So I think definitely a lot of people are looking more towards the North East and the North West. The only thing stopping a few of them, I think, is the fear of investing further away. I was speaking to someone on Monday, actually, who lives down south, talking about investing in the North. And I said, but if you've got a good management agent, you shouldn't really need to be at the property too often. Because they were worried about the travel. I'm like, yeah, but if you've got a tenant and a management agent,
You need the right feet on the ground.
you wouldn't need to.
No.
So I think there'll be an influx of that as well going forward.
I think that letting agents at times get a bad rep, and people don't trust them from the day one, which is, you shouldn't trust anyone from day one. People have got to earn trust, haven't they? Yeah. But once they're comfortable with a letting agent, I think that the floodgates open, then they just think, right, I've got the right feet on the ground. 80% of our clients are from Birmingham and South. We cater very well for long distance landlords, but you do have to really build up that trust. It takes time.
Yeah, to do it.
I'd be the same. If I was buying in London, I'd be a bit sceptical about using certain letting agents. It's just kissing frogs, isn't it, I think?
I think it is, yeah. It's, trying to find decent service providers is probably one of the hardest parts of business, I think.
100%, yeah. So, given the scope that you've got as you go around the country, what do you think is the general consensus from investors and landlords at the moment on the market? How do they see the market in real general terms?
In terms of the market, it seems to be a little bit all over. I don't want to say there's doom and gloom that I'm seeing at the moment, but there's definitely a lot of hesitation.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
What's driving that, do you think, in your opinion?
Uncertainty about this government. I think it's the renters' rights coming up, and I think it's we've also got the licensing stuff that's coming from the local councils. I think people are just holding on to see how bad it gets before potentially selling or deciding what they want to do next.
Yeah. I'm seeing that, sort of feeling that there's an undercurrent of anxiety in investors, and for me, there's so much opportunity around at the moment.
Yeah.
Because interest rates have come down slightly, but not massively. I think it's clearly obvious, unless something goes dramatically wrong, that interest rates are going to continue to come down.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of sellers are sitting on their hands thinking, well, if I can get 100 grand for my house now, if rates come down a little bit more, I might get 125, 130, whatever. So that's slowing activity down. And obviously investors on the other side of the coin are thinking, well, if I wait, I'll get lower rates when I buy. But I think because of that, there's an opportunity for professional investors currently. Before everyone starts coming back into the market, there's a bit of a window of opportunity now. That's how I see it. But I do agree with you that there's a general anxiety around investors at the moment. And I think you just said it there, but I think it is just driven by, we just don't know what this government's going to do next. And we're tying our property's a long-term game. We're tying ourselves into long-term investments.
Yeah.
However, we don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah, that's the difficulty with property and a lot of investments is your capital's tied up for at least sort of 5-10 years.
Yeah.
So if you are uncertain, it's difficult. So yeah, a lot of people are just holding off, I think. And I'm also just seeing a lot of existing established landlords sort of saying, why am I sort of doing this? It seems to be bad news after bad news. It's becoming harder. So I think that's another thing as well.
Yeah, especially with people that own properties in their own name as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, as we discussed last night, it was, it's just so many headwinds for people whenever personal tax is involved. Limited companies isn't the answer to everything, but it does help for certain aspects. Yeah. So I guess what responsibility do you feel as your magazine's becoming bigger and bigger? What do you feel a sense of responsibility because you're sort of contributing to that sentiment? You're getting that big now that you are a contributor to the sentiment that landlords carry. Is there a sense of responsibility on that?
To me, it's more responsibility around the information being accurate and honest, I think, and it being the right people. That's kind of just trying to protect what I've built, I think, is what I feel. I do feel a massive duty to my readers to just make sure they're getting the right information. And also keeping it optimistic in the magazine. Like, we're not bullshit. We're not just going to say it's positive if it's not. But you are right. There's opportunity out there. You can still make money from property. There are ways to do it. And that's the kind of angle that we're trying to take, is keep the positivity going. Because landlords, they do a lot of good for the economy.
100%.
Really help people.
And I think there's a lot of positivity to come for landlords. I think those... 100%. It's, that the industry, because I don't agree with a lot of the changes, but it is making the industry more professional. Yeah. No matter which way you look at it. It's, the slum landlords, they don't exist anymore. So I'm all for that, because if the good landlords like myself that who've done things properly all the time are sort of becoming the standard now. So I do think I say it all the time, those who survive will thrive, I really do.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think the newer people coming into the industry are going to thrive too. I think the difficulty is landlords that have been investing for a long time are seeing it getting harder. Whereas I think if you're newer to the industry, you've not got anything to compare it against. So it's never been easier or harder. It is just the way it is. Yeah. And the rules you've got to play by are the rules you've got to play by. Yeah. So I think we'll probably see an influx of new investors doing really well. Yeah.
And those older landlords that have got properties in their own name that are selling off and whinging. And when you look back like 30, 40 years ago, there was zero legislation. I mean, it wasn't even gas certs at one time. Buy-to-let mortgages were just so easy to get. Even when I started investing 20 odd years ago, buy-to-let mortgages were so easy. I literally sit with your bank manager face to face and say, I'd like a buy-to-let mortgage. Yeah, no problem. What you earning? What's your name? Like, there you go, there's your money. It was just so easy. Now there's just so much red tape. So I can see why people, the older generation, are negative. But ultimately, housing's a commodity, and the supply and demand balance in the UK is just so out of kilter that you can only win long term as a landlord. Like, property is a guaranteed way of making wealth.
Yeah. Someone was saying that to me the other day. They were like, "Do you think house prices are ever going to drop or go down to normal?" I'm like, "Not if we can't solve the housing crisis." And it doesn't.
They're never going to solve that housing crisis.
It don't look like it.
I mean, to build 1.5 million homes over a government term is just. I don't know why they even said that. Yeah. We don't have bricklayers. There's a massive shortage of bricklayers. They're getting paid fortunes now, aren't they? Because you can't get all of them. So it's completely unrealistic. But I don't think any government. I think it's gone too far now. I don't think they'll ever be able to solve it, type of thing. But anyway, we'll see. So we talked about the sharks in the industry and the fact that it's very difficult for people coming into the industry now to sort of filter out the rubbish from the genuine people. Yeah. But in your opinion, what is the best way for someone to learn about property if they are literally just thinking, right, I want to get into property now?
I think the best way is start small, edge your way into it. You know, read a couple of books, listen to podcasts like this, get up a bit of knowledge, go to networking events, meet other property investors, you know, chat with them, see if you can shadow them for a little bit. If I was going to pay someone to learn about property, I probably wouldn't pay a mentor. I'd probably find someone that's experienced and doesn't do mentorship or does it on a very small scale and learn from them. Personally, that's just me. And I'd do that, just get around the events and build up your knowledge slowly by osmosis, if you can, before going in and spending 10 grand. I think there's absolutely a time to do that, but I think you just need to get the basic knowledge first.
Yeah.
And understand if it is for you, because it might not be.
No,
that's the thing
exactly.
as well.
Yeah,
When you understand, like, property looks amazing and sexy from the outside, and then when you're in it and, you know, you see what all the investors are dealing with, you might decide, actually, it's probably not for me.
Yeah.
So I think understanding if it's definitely for you first.
Yeah, for sure. And I get the concept that people think, right, if I spend 10 or 20 grand on a property course, it's going to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Because it's all my life savings, or half it might even be on a credit card or whatever. And they think, right, if I'm investing this amount of money in myself, I know it'll hold me accountable. I know that'll do the things I need to do. Yeah. I get that sort of mindset, and it does work for a lot of people. But more people, I feel, spend the huge amounts of money and then realise that it's bloody hard work.
Yeah.
I think it's not a silver bullet.
Yeah.
Shit, I've spent all this money and now I'm scraping wallpaper off at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. This isn't glamorous. This is not what I signed up for.
No.
And you do have to get stuck in yourself in the early days. Do you think the sourcing sort of introduction stood you in good stead?
Yeah, it teaches you a lot about property and building the relationships, and then you kind of see it from the inside and you realise just how difficult it is, because with property, you're dealing with so many different people. Like, you can put an offer on a property, but you've got the estate agent, the valuer, the lender, the broker, the solicitor, and all these people that are taking part in this transaction. If they drop the ball, the entire thing can fall out of bed. And I think it taught me that about property, which makes it one of the most difficult things. In a normal business transaction, it's you, the customer, and the product or service, and it's a relationship between those two things. In property, it's a relationship between about 10 different people at one given time.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you have to coordinate everyone. You have to sort of keep everyone moving in the right direction. Did you do okay with your sourcing? Did you find it difficult, or?
I found it difficult because I was in bloody lockdown, and I thought,
of course,
I was like, COVID will end in 3 weeks. Like, you know, as we did at the start, I didn't realise when I started it how long it would go for. So it was difficult because every other week we were getting a government announcement about whether we were allowed on viewings, or you could go in a viewing if the estate agent stood at the other side of the room, and all these weird things. It was also difficult because you had property investors, the investors you were dealing with that were buying the properties, that were just very hesitant and very anxious, that they'd get to the last minute and go, actually, we don't know how COVID's going to change things, so we're just going to back out. Yeah. So that made it a real difficult time.
It must have been very, very difficult.
Yeah, it was, because just so much uncertainty from all sides.
Yeah, it was. And looking back now, it was the best time to buy, wasn't it? I bought a lot of property during the COVID times, and everyone thought I was mental.
Yeah.
But the deals, like you say, people were just pulling out of deals, and I was just jumping on them. Yeah, like a vulture, just waiting, just completing quickly, and it was a horrible time for people in a lot of ways, but. Property wise, there was a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, I wish I had more confidence. So I knew to it at the time, because I came across some mega deals in my area, some absolute mega deals, but because I wasn't experienced enough and confident enough, I was letting the investors guide me rather than me saying, no, this is a cracking deal, you need to jump on it. Yeah.
But again, you know, the deals we're looking at today, when we look back in 5 years' time, we'll say, oh, cracking deals, you know, time, it always ends up that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So are you investing yourself at the moment, or are you just fully focused on the business?
Fully focused on business. So when I bought Blue Bricks, we had to obviously put stuff into it to turn it around to get to where it needs to be. That's got to a good point now. Obviously investing in, starting a new business now as well, which has taken quite a lot of investment up front. I am looking to invest in the near future. I've got the contacts and the funds to do it. For me, it's just about doing it in a way that builds towards where I want to be. I feel like if I invested now, I'd be doing it just to say that I've invested, whereas my real focus is getting Blue Bricks to where I want that to be, and getting this new business to where I want that to be.
Brilliant. I'm going to ask you about the new business, but I just wanted to say, like, obviously the people that you surround yourself with, the network that you've got access to now, when you do decide to invest, I'm sure you'll absolutely smash it.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. I've got everything I need, and that's the thing is, sometimes I feel like I've got access to this superpower that I'm not using. But then I'm like, one of the things I learned from Nathan, and the biggest learning I've had in business, is as a business owner, you've got to learn to focus, and to focus on one or two things at a time. Because it's so easy to go, right, I'm going to do this, going to do this, going to do that. And then you end up sort of juggling 10 balls and dropping all of them. And that really set me back in my journey. It was only when I said, right, everything's on blue bricks, that it started to grow. So I am just, it's coming, it's on the horizon. I just need it to be the right time.
Yeah, and that's, you know, if you've got the blue bricks in the background as your sort of capital, your fund-making machine, you need that working to its greatest potential.
Yeah.
To get the best property portfolio you're going to get anyway. So
exactly.
Yes, there's no point buying 2 or 3 houses and then not having anything more capital to back that up, is there?
Exactly. And the approach I was taught from Nathan, and also James Sinclair, who I follow massively.
I love James Sinclair. He's amazing. Yeah.
I was on his coach day Monday. Yeah, incredible guy. Took us around all his businesses.
Oh, he's unbelievable, isn't he? I listen to every episode of his podcast. Yeah.
He's a hero of mine. And the approach that both him and Nathan say is basically business first and property. Build a positive cash flow in business that's got strong profits. Use that to invest in property.
So he puts every penny of profit either back into the business or into commercial property, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He's a massive commercial property fan.
Yeah, he is.
So. And
he's very anti-resi.
Yeah, I do get that vibe. I kind of sit quietly at the back of the room.
Yeah,
try not to mention that I've got.
I don't agree with everything he says on that. I mean, he's far.
Yeah.
You know, he's a huge successful businessman. He's obviously, I listen to everything he says, but some of his views on resi I don't agree with. But you don't have to agree with everything he says.
Yeah,
he's pretty much bang on about everything else he talks about. So in my eyes, but yeah, I mean, if you're listening to people like him, and Nathan, etc., you can't go wrong, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just interesting. It's given that the amount of people you speak to about property. Be interesting. You could either go one way or the other. You could think, oh right, I want to smash the property investment journey, or no chance. I'm staying away from that.
Yeah, it does depend on the person. For me, like my first love's business. I love business. I really, really love business, and I like taking the approach of business and property personally. Yeah. I was going to invest in something recently, but then 20 grand's left my account in the space of 2 weeks, just on various things that come about like that. We're doing another Blue Bricks Awards, so deposits for that, staff wages. So another thing I've got bearing in mind is always keeping a bit of cash liquid.
100%.
That's one of the things that people get wrong, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like, cash in the bank is depreciating. Like, you're right, but you also need also need access to liquid cash.
Of course you do.
If something comes up.
Especially when you're growing at the rate you are.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's massive expenses coming out all the time. That's the nature of the beast.
Can we talk about the new business then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. What direction are you going in?
So basically, the idea that I had for the new business was it started out completely different to what it's turned into. So we were looking at ways that we could add more benefits to subscribers of Blue Bricks, make it into more than a magazine, and that's something we're still doing. And the idea we had was to give our customers a physical card that will give them discounts to service providers like architects, quantity surveyors, all that sort of stuff. But me and Nathan were sat down having food one day, and we kind of, he said, I think you're thinking too small with it. Why don't you do a card for business owners? So what's happened is we've developed an app now that gives business owners discounts on basically all business expenses, petrol, diesel. We're looking at commercial energy, office space, accountants, solicitors, marketing fees, parking, any hotels, anything you can think of is on this app that will give business owners those unique discounts.
Right, okay. So how does that work? Then you agree the discounts with the providers and then just pass it on to your members?
Exactly, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, because we've got the brand, we've got the following, we've got the customers. We can say, we're going to bring all these people to you for free, but in return we want 20% off. And I go, okay.
Superb. And that's only going to get easier and easier for you as you grow the brand. You're going to have more and more access to be able to do things like this.
Exactly. It's like Blue Light Card, but for business owners.
Right,
basically.
Okay.
And I just want to keep growing that out to eventually have everything on there. So the business owners can use it every single day, whether they're buying, £3,000 laptops from Curry's or whether they're getting a coffee from Greg's. That's what I want them to be able to use it on.
Amazing. So is that launched now or is it launching?
The app's been built. We're just on the last stags at the moment. We've got partners signed up, so we will be launching, fingers crossed, in May.
Superb.
Yeah.
Look forward to getting one of them cards then.
You will get one, so people in my network, I'm giving access to it for free for the first year as well.
Brilliant, mate. Superb. So back to when you start investing in property, I guess what strategy do you think you'll delve into, given that the knowledge that you've gained?
This is the other thing that's been holding me back too, is knowing where to start.
That's the only thing. I guess you've got knowledge in every area.
Yeah,
which is great, but it also creates a bit of an issue with
gives
where you
overwhelm.
go.
I think for me, and this is just my personal goals, it's not a preference on which strategy is better. I'd probably go, where I'm at like right now, cash flow is what I want. So I'd probably go SA or mixed use or commercial. Buy to let just doesn't do it for me right now.
Yeah.
The idea of tying up that much capital for £200 a month, for me, obviously it's got its perks when you start later down the line, great stuff. But for me right now, that just isn't sexy in the slightest.
Yeah, I think with a lot of buy to let, it's you can still, if you still buy correctly, you can still make £400 a month on a standard buy to let. Yeah. I'm doing it at the moment. I've just bought a couple of buy to lets. The first buy to lets I've bought for a long time, but they'll both cash flow more than £400 a month on a single let. So you can still do it. It's still possible. However, buy to let's more of a store of wealth. I think it's a protection. It's an edge against inflation, isn't it? Yeah. Property prices and rent prices have always at least kept up with inflation. So it's a store. If you're making good money in your businesses and your other activities, it's a good store of wealth. Yeah. As regards big cash flow, I think you're right. I think, your service accommodation, your HMOs, commercial resi. I've done a couple of schemes where I've done sort of 5 or 11 units within one building. Yeah. They are essentially, in the business centre that I bought, they're essentially 11 buy-to-let properties, but because they're grouped under one roof, the cash flow is just so much better. Yeah. I think you're right as regards cash flow, but I'm sure that the right project will come along once you do decide.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. It's just the way that I do stuff is I'm putting everything into it. And when I'm going into property, I will be putting everything into it and making sure it's a good deal and making sure that the ducks align, not sort of doing it half-ass on the side. Yeah. So
when do you think that'll be? When do you foresee the business? What do you need to have in place before you start looking at other things?
I was going to start doing it this year, but I've taken a new direction with Blue Bricks with a new business coming around. We've got the awards coming up. We've got 2 new products in Blue Bricks coming up. I reckon it'll probably be next year. If I can smash the goals that I've got for, I think it's August next year, then it'll be.
Great. And that new editor that you've brought in will obviously help you along the way.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. It's having the team and the structure in place so that Blue Bricks can run without me while I'm on viewings and doing stuff like that as well helps. If it's just you or one or 2 others, and while you're on the viewing, there's stuff been left at Blue Bricks, that's what makes it difficult. Yeah. So when everything's running in the background, I'll be fine.
Yeah, it's the old adage, isn't it? You don't own a business if you're running around like an idiot doing things yourself. You need the right people in place, the right structures, the right team behind you, which is very difficult doing it myself at the moment. And there's ups and downs along the way. Yeah. Hiring maybe the wrong people, and then again kissing frogs, I guess. Yeah. But once you've got that team and structure in place, the time that it'll give you. To then go out and do other things will be amazing.
I was on the phone with someone yesterday and I was saying, like, as a business owner, you don't actually realise, or as a solopreneur, how much you do until you hire someone. And then you hire that person and you see that they've just taken on a full-time job and you're still busy. You know what I mean?
That's a very good point, actually.
Yeah, and I've realised that now, hiring again with Vicky, and I realised, wow, I didn't realise just how much I was doing on my own until I'm looking at 2 people do my job and I've still got stuff left over to do.
I never thought of it like that. I've been through the exact same process. And I've never thought of it like that. That's really interesting and very accurate. So I guess when you do get into it, what are the common mistakes that you see that landlords and developers make that you've seen that you'll be keen to avoid?
I think for me, I value my time a lot now. So I'd pay a management agent tomorrow. I'd pay, if I invest in SA, I'd pay for that to be fully managed. I couldn't think about worse than managing a property myself for the sake of 80 quid. Just not worth it. No. So I definitely, that is a big thing. Systemisation, another one. Seeing people that have got these huge portfolios now that are self-managed with no systems in place that have become absolute monsters. Compliance, doing stuff right from the start. And I think building relationships with the right investors and the right people. When people desperate for money, desperate for finance, they'll JV with anyone, and then things end
See it all the time,
terribly. So I think for me, it's just making sure I'd be teaming up with the right people. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's amazing that I speak to people all the time that are doing joint ventures, and they've met each other once at a network event. I'm like, I don't know anything about this girl or this guy, and you know, you're basically signing contracts, both of you together. It's just mental. Blows my mind anyway. So back to Blue Bricks, because that's your main focus right now. What's been the biggest challenge, do you think, in the growth to achieve the growth you have?
I think it's coming with limited resources from the beginning. And the other two magazines that are well known in the industry have been going 20 plus years. And I've also taken on Blue Bricks at a time where publishing's dying. You know, people don't really read anymore. They're consuming things like podcasts, reels, short-term content. So you constantly have to move and evolve and change and adapt. You can't just keep doing a print magazine and hoping that'll sort of keep on.
So, given that, how have you adapted over the last few years?
So,
technology's moving so quickly. It must be difficult.
Oh no, it's hard, especially with AI and stuff like that. But it's also really exciting. So we're doing things now, like we're going to have like an audio version of the magazine, for example. We're redoing the website so we can integrate all these things. We're doing the events. That was a big one. Creating more of a community, not just a magazine. Places where people can come together and doing stuff fun and different, like clay pigeon shooting day. It's got the horse racing day coming up. We're launching a new product line under Blue Bricks, which will be a lot more digital. But again, we'll be focused around bringing people together, helping them get access to the right service providers. We're integrating My Business Pass, which is the app and the new business, into Blue Bricks. So members of Blue Bricks will get access to that for free. Just stuff like that to keep adding value to the reader so that when they sign up to Blue Bricks, it's more than just a print magazine. There's so much more that they go with.
I guess what you're creating, the magazine is like the gateway into the Blue Bricks community, isn't it? And then once you've got that community built, the world's your oyster, because you've got so many people already working with you.
Absolutely. I am, the thing is, I always say to people, like, just sit down and read Blue Bricks, because I've never been asked a question in property that hasn't been answered in the magazine at some point. And I'm not just saying that, I genuinely mean it. Everything, how do I find a deal? How do I raise finance? How do I work with investors? How do I tax effectively structure my portfolio? It's all in there. I had a lady that signed up to Blue Bricks at an event, and it was really sweet. I got home and the next day she'd found me on LinkedIn. She sent me this massive paragraph that was like, I was reading Blue Bricks queuing for my coffee and I just couldn't put it down, and I've had to put a bookmark in it and it's like the best thing I've ever read. And I get stuff like that all the time, and it's really, really nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Makes it worth it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does make it worth it, because like that's what I enjoy. Like, I enjoy people enjoying what I create, because obviously I see how much work goes into it.
Yeah. What's the next major step in the journey for Blue Bricks then, do you think?
Getting this app up and running is the next major thing. Then the new product launch under Blue Bricks that we'll be doing, and then the awards next year as well. The awards part 2. I swore to myself I wouldn't do a second awards. But
did you? Why? Because it looked like everyone I spoke to said it was a really good night.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was fantastic. But putting it together is painful, mate. I tell you nothing. The politics, man. The politics in this industry. If this person's there, I can't be there. And
I see that all the time. It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, and what do you mean I didn't win an award and all that? So I was like, I'm never doing it again. And then I get asked every week, when's the next one? And I thought, I'm just going to have to give the people what I want, what they want. So yeah, we're doing it again.
I've never thought about that, but it's such a niche industry that we're in. Well, it feels like it is at times anyway. We're all sort of peeing in the same pot, aren't we? And then when you try and put everyone together, I guess there's many people I know that don't get on in the industry.
Yeah, a lot of personalities.
Slagging each other off. I don't try not to get involved in it, but they're slagging each other off. And I guess, bringing them all together in one place.
A lot of personalities, a lot of egos. And for every one person that wins an award and loves you to pieces, there's about 9 people that can't stand you after that as well. So that's why I've made it publicly aware. I've got nothing to do with the voting or the judging. And it'll be the same on the second one. It's nothing to do with me. It's the judges.
Great. Did you get much out of the night, though, itself? Did it?
Yeah.
From the brand awareness?
Oh, that projected Blue Bricks for a new level. It took it from being this kind of, obviously we're a print magazine, but being this thing that people hear about online to a physical, real thing that people can see. And Peckfort and Castle was stunning.
Incredible.
It was incredible, mate. Yeah. We got so much from that. And it just put us on a new level, and everything has risen up from then. So it was so worth doing.
Is that where the second one's going to be as well then?
No. I can't announce what the second one is yet, but it is vastly different to the first one, like a completely different thing.
Yeah. So what does success look like for yourself and for the brand over the next sort of 3 to 5 years?
It's a really good question. I think for me, just continuing to grow Blue Bricks into the community that I want it to be, making it a subscription. You know, when you said to me or asked me, sorry, how do people get into property? I want Blue Bricks to be a place that people can go to from all the property levels and get what they need to get out of it, to feel comfortable to go out there and invest without spending tens of thousands of pounds. And having, you know, a business that runs, it's almost there, but completely without me and can grow without me is the next step. I mean, you've got a business that runs without you, then you've got a business that grows without you, and that's what I'm building towards at the moment.
Yeah, the worlds apart, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's difficult. It's really, really challenging. And like, I always think, right, hire one more person and then I'm out of it. And then you're like, no, there's still all these other things that need doing. So yeah, that's what we're gearing towards.
Yeah. It's like my business, I can go on holiday now and relax and enjoy my holiday, which is great.
Yeah.
Because I've got people that I trust in the office and on the ground. However, the business growing while you're absent is a completely different world, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. That's got its own sort of unique challenges that come with it, really.
Yeah, because naturally you're going to be the driver of that growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you've got the passion for it.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing. I try and instill that passion into my staff, and that's why Vic is such an amazing editor, because she's in property. She's like...
Is that her background?
Yeah, she's in property. She invests. I mean, she's like a human Labrador. Like, if you meet her at an event, she's just lovely. Like, everyone loves her, and she loves everyone. And she's followed the brand for ages and absolutely loves the Blue Bricks brand. So she's got that passion.
Bought into it.
Yeah, which is just makes her the perfect sort of replacement for me. We're opposites. I'm a massive introvert. I don't like networking. Yeah. I'll go to networking events, but I want to hide in a corner.
I was going to say, you got a good, you hide it well.
Yeah. I hide it well because it sort of drains me. So it'll be more the next day that I feel it. In the Northeast, though, I'm different. Probably a bit controversialist, but I love the Northeast, man. Yeah. I love people in the Northeast.
People are easy, aren't they?
Oh, they're easy. It's just if you're down south and you get a chance to come to a Northeast networking event, 'cause it's just a laugh. Yeah. It's just a complete laugh.
Like even last night, it was a formal sort of setting. Yeah. But everyone had a smile on the face, didn't there? There wasn't many serious words said, was there? I mean, we were talking about insurance and, setting up trusts and, serious issues, but generally everyone was just having a laugh and just dead easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why probably in the Northeast, if you see me networking, I'm a bit more easygoing. Yeah. Down south, it's a bit more intense. You sit down, someone's like, "So, how many buy-to-lets have you got?" And you go, "Oh shit, let me have a drink."
Qualified.
Yeah. Let me grab a drink first before we start down this one. What do you do? All right, okay. It's like interrogation.
Yeah, I haven't got the time for that. My social battery gets drained far too quickly for that. So, how are you going to grow the business without you? Then, have you got a marketing team in the background at the moment?
Yeah, so Zach's doing my marketing. He's my marketing manager. He is so talented, and he actually gets better the less control I have. So I'm quite a good marketer, but I just said to him, Vicky, now you've got the final say on everything. If you think this is the best thing to do, I trust your judgment, go for it. That's how I've driven passion into them too, by giving them decision-making abilities. Yeah. Growing the marketing out that way. Zach's creative, is doing great stuff. I think he will come into his own as well when this new product launches and we've got more digital stuff to go on the back of.
Were you apprehensive about doing that, about giving them sort of autonomy by saying, right, make your own decisions?
I was at first, yeah, but I've seen what Zach does. So Zach's quite entrepreneurial. He's got his own clothing brand alongside Blue Bricks. And I saw what he did with that brand and he did fantastically well. And I was like, you know what, I need to give him more autonomy. So I did, and whenever I have, he's done fantastically. And Vic is the same. She's really smart, really driven, so I trust her completely. And I think that's the thing, like you've got to, if you do hire people, and this is what I've learned, especially with creative people operate at the best when they're given freedom. As soon as you put a creative person in a box, the results will be rubbish. Mm-hmm. So you're better to just give them free reign and see what they'll come back with.
And that's the only way they're going to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. If something was completely wrong, I would turn around and say, no, that's not us. But they know, the thing is, they know me really well. They know the brand really well. So I trust them.
Mm. So since you've brought the editor in, then how does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, it's varied. Lately, I've been dragged to a lot of events, either speaking, sponsoring, having stalls, stuff like that. So I do quite a lot of that stuff. Putting the app together, dealing with partners, onboarding partners onto the app to give discounts takes up a lot of my time currently, getting that business launched. for me, dealing with the marketing strategy of Blue Bricks, I'm more an ideas person now. So, right, what direction are we going in? How do we make that happen? We're doing the awards. Let's find a venue. That's all my sort of thing now, is just the direction, and then giving that to the team and saying, this is where we're going next, sort of thing. So probably more steering the ship as opposed to paddling it.
Yeah. How do you balance, I guess we've touched on it, but how do you balance sort of editorial integrity with partnerships and sponsorships? Because as the brand is growing, you must get offered so many sponsorships now, and they must be quite lucrative, some of them.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't fit your bill as regards integrity, which we've touched on, it must be a bit of a...
Oh, mate, it's difficult.
Internal.
Yeah, it's difficult. Being offered money by people that I wouldn't take money off. There's also been times where, if you partnered with this person that's got hundreds of thousands of followers online,
That's what I mean.
your subscription.
Yeah.
But I've had this debate many times with people going, at what point do you just sell your soul? Unfortunately,
When you start investing in property, you need
yeah,
cash.
yeah. Unfortunately, I just can't bring myself to do it. So it is really difficult because the sexy stuff sells at the end of the day.
It does.
And there's certain people we could get that sell that stuff, and we will get a massive amount of subscriptions off of doing it. But the problem is, in doing that, A, it doesn't sit right with my ethics at all, and B, the relationships that we've got with people like Roma Finance, Procurement for House Builders, Thompson, these amazing sponsors we've got have come off the back of our integrity. Yeah. The moment I start betraying that is the moment I lose the people that have helped me build this business. So.
False economy, isn't it?
It keeps me accountable.
Yeah, exactly. Long-term, slow burning game is the way. You've got to protect that reputation. And then, like you said, like a Roma Finance are coming on board, you're doing something right, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And the thing is, everyone else is sort of self-destructing. I don't,
Seems to be, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I've just kind of got to build this nice fort and let everyone else sort of blow up and be the last one standing.
That's very true, actually. Very true, yeah. So do you have a favourite success story from one of your readers or contributors that stands out that you think?
Yeah, I do, man. Yeah. I've got a really, really good one. One of my absolute favourites is David Daubus. So he's a Sheffield property investor, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He's got a big portfolio there now, and he's a Polish gentleman, came to England with, I think it was like £300, didn't speak any English, with his wife, and literally built a property portfolio, was built multi-million-pound business. And he's done all, and obviously fluent in English now. And he's done all of this through literally just hard work and graft. So he wrote his article, there was no like magic trick, he didn't meet anyone to give him money. He just worked overtime, worked weekends, packing boxes on minimum wage. He had to fly over to Poland to get chicken and other goods frozen because it were cheaper to bring them back to England to eat off. And then he was like creating adverts and stuff for his landlord just to a bit of a side hustle for money. Took that, bought one buy to let, and then just built it up from there. So that was one of my favourites.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
what was his surname? Sorry,
Daubus.
Daubus, right? I'll look at it.
Yeah, so that was one of my favourites because it was just raw. There was just absolute sort of realness to it. It kind of goes to show that no matter where you're starting out, where you come from, you can sort of make it. Yeah, he's just a great guy.
That's incredible. Yeah, I guess it makes some people's excuses look a bit weak, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And he does a lot for the Polish community and stuff like that. Now he runs a huge event called, I think it's a Spiro in Sheffield.
Right.
And like I've been to it a few times. Gets like over 200 people there. Loads of them fly from Poland just to be in the room. It's ace. Yeah.
Brilliant. Superb. I love a story like that.
Yeah, I do. That's one of my favourites.
Yeah. Sam, it's been brilliant, honestly, mate. I can just tell, but just from this conversation, that the sky's the limit for you. You're just such a genuine guy, and everything you're doing is reflected in your business. I can tell that. No one has a bad word to say about you whenever I go around all these network events. So, just keep doing what you're doing, mate.
Thanks, mate. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So where's the best place for listeners to find you?
Yeah, so me personally, LinkedIn, Sam Cooke, Cooke with an E, Blue Bricks Magazine. Also, you can get Blue Bricks on Instagram, Blue Bricks Magazine. And then if you want, we also do a 3-month trial to Blue Bricks. If you go to bluebricksmagazine.com, if you put in your details, we'll post the magazine out to you free of charge. Won't cost you a penny. Read it. Our events are included in that for free as well. So we do a monthly online webinar. You can join for free. See if you like it. If you do, stay. If not, you can obviously unsubscribe and it won't cost you anything.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, I've read it, and it's a thoroughly enjoyable magazine.
Thank you,
so keep doing it, mate. If you are listening or watching online, please do give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe. It really does help. Until next time, take care.